A Canadian Music Organization Guide. Chapter 1. Canadian Music Organizations. MIAC.net, Music Industries Association of Canada. MIAC is a national, non-profit trade association representing Canadian manufacturers, distributors, and retailers of musical instruments and accessories, keyboards, sound reinforcement products and published music. MIAC.net/retail members list.php, retail music stores in Canada. MIAC.net/members, companies in the music field. Music in Motion Canada for indie talent. They have a $50,000 award. musicinmotioncanada.ca. Facebook.com/musicinmotioncanada. X.com/mim_Canada. Instagram.com/musicinmotioncanada. YouTube.com/@musicinmotioncanada. Canadian Music Organizations by Province. Quebec Association of the Music Industry, Entertainment, and Video, ADISC. ADISQ.com. The Alberta Music Industry Association, AMIA, albertamusic.org. Guild des musiciens et musiciennes du Québec, GMMQ. GMMQ.com. ECMA, East Coast Music Association. ECMA.com. Cultural Industries Ontario North, Sion. sionerth.ca. Music BC Industry Association. musicbc.org. Manitoba Music. manitobamusic.com. Music/MusicNB, MNB. musicnb.org. MusicNL. musicnl.ca. Music Nova Scotia. musicnovascotia.ca. Music Ontario. music-ontario.ca. Music Pay. musicpay.com. SASK Music, the Saskatchewan Recording Industry Association. saskmusic.org. Music Yukon. musicyukon.com. Western Canadian Music Alliance, Breakout West. British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, the Northwest Territories and the Yukon Territory. Breakoutwest.ca. A list of Canada music organizations at cleverjoe.com/music_industry_resource/associations_organizations/canada/index.html. He lists 18 organizations. You have to click on an organization to get the website. indiemusic.ca. The official Canadian directory of indie bands and musicians. vancouverjazz.com. Vancouver Jazz Scene. CMRA, Canadian Musical Reproduction Rights Agency Limited. cmrra.ca. A list of Canada music organizations at miac.net/associations.php. Adjectiva.org, American Disc Jockey Association. AES.org, Audio Engineering Society. australianmusic.asn.au/home.html, Australian Music Association, AMA. abemusica.com.br, Brazil, Associação Brasileira de Música, ABA Música. caamp.ca, Canadian Alliance Against Music Piracy, COMP. musictherapy.ca, Canadian Association for Music Therapy. carasonline.ca, Canadian Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, CARAS. Canadian Band Association.ca, Canadian Band Association. cdja.org, Canadian Disc Jockey Association. cpdja.ca, Canadian Professional Disc Jockey Association Inc. guitarassociation.org, Canadian Guitar Players Association. citt.org, Canadian Institute for Theatre Technology, CITT. CRIA.ca, Canadian Recording Industry Association, CRIA. FameQ.org, Fédération des Associations de Musiciens du Quatuors du Québec, FAMEC. Messe-Frankfurt.de, Frankfurt Musikmesse. Musikinstrument.org, Germany, Bundesverband der Deutschen Musikens Rumen Hersteller, BDMH. IMS.org, International Music Software Trade Association, IMSTA. Dismamusica.it, Italy, Distribuzione Industrie Strumenti Musicali e Artigianato, Disma. MIDI.org, MIDI Manufacturers Association. MusicDistributors.org, Music Distribution Association. MusicFestCanada.com, Music Fest Canada. MIA.org.uk, United Kingdom, Music Industries Association, Missing in Action. NASMD.com, National Association of School Music Dealers. NAM.com, United States, National Association of Music Merchants, NAM. PMI.org, Pacific Music Industry Association. PAS.org, Percussive Arts Society. Printmusic.org, Retail Print Music Dealers Association. Pianonet.com, Piano Manufacturers Association International. SASCanada.com, School Alliance of Student Songwriters, SAS. COMusica.com, Spain, Comusica. FeriaValencia.com, Spanish trade show, Feria Valencia. A list of Canada music organizations at listingca.com/entertainment_and_leisure/music/organizations. They also list music organizations by province. American Federation of Musicians, AFM. Musicians Fighting for Better Pay and Dignity. AFM.org. Canadian Amateur Musicians. CAMAC.ca 1-888-622-8755. Canadian Association for Music Therapy. musictherapy.ca. The Canadian Country Music Association, CCMA. ccma.org. Canadian Music Educators Association. musiceducationonline.org/CMEA. Canadian Musical Reproduction Rights Agency Ltd. CMRA. CMRRA.ca. Coalition for Music Education in Canada. musicmakesus.ca. Factor, Foundation to assist Canadian talent on records. Factor.ca. The National Professional Music Teachers Association, NPMTA. angelfire.com/bc/npmta. Society of Composers, Authors, and Music Publishers of Canada, SOCAN. socan.ca. The Songwriters Association of Canada. songwriters.ca. Vancouver Musicians Association. VMA145.ca. Chinese Music Society of North America. ChineseMusic.net. International Society for Music Education. ISAME.org. A list of Ontario music organizations at listingca.com/ontario/entertainment_and_leisure/music/organizations. There are more organizations listed when they divide the province into regions. Association des Professionnels de la Chanson et de la Musique, APCM. apcm.ca. Northern Bluegrass Committee. northernbluegrass.com. Ontario Classical Association. OntarioClassicalAssociation.ca. Ontario Guild of English Handbell Ringers, OGMR. OGER.ca. Brantford Music Club, Brantford. BrantfordMusicClub.ca. Brockville Musicians Association, Brockville. BMAHopage.tripod.com. The Ottawa Chamber Music Society, OCMS. Chamberfest.com. Grass Clippings Festival, Nepean. Valleygrass.ca. Guitar Society of Toronto, Toronto. GuitarSocietyOfToronto.com. Hamilton Musicians Guild, Hamilton. Local 293 of the American Federation of Musicians of the United States and Canada. HamiltonMusicians.org. Kingston Musicians Union, Kingston. KingstonMusicians.org. Morning Music Limited, Mississauga. MorningMusic.ca. Moosey Crypt Inc. Richmond Hill. MusicRept.com. Numis, Waterloo. Numberus.on.ca. Royal Canadian College of Organists, Toronto. 204 St. George Street, Suite 202 Toronto, Ontario, M5R2N5 telephone 416-929-6400. Fax 416-929-2265. rcco.ca. Victory Promotions, Peterborough. Southern Gospel Music in Ontario. victorypromotions.com. Canadian music organizations at musicinmotioncanada.ca/resources/music-associations. musiccreators.ca. Songwriters Association of Canada, SAC. songwriters.ca. Society of Composers and Lyricists. thescl.com. The Association of Canadian Women Composers, ACWC/ACC. acwc.ca. The Canadian Musical Reproduction Rights Agency Ltd. cmrra.ca. Resound is a Canadian non-profit performance rights organization that collects and administers neighbouring rights royalties on behalf of recording artists. Resound.ca. Music Publishers of Canada. musicpublisher.ca. The foundation assisting Canadian talent on recordings. Factor.ca. Saucon Foundation fosters, sustains, and promotes the creation of Canadian music. socanfoundation.ca. Ontario Creates. Creating success in publishing in the interactive media and music industries. OntarioCreates.ca. The Canadian Music Hall of Fame. Canadian Musical-Fame.ca. The Canadian Music Centre. A repository of Canadian concert music. cmccanada.org. The Music Gallery. Performance venue in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. musicgallery.org. The National Music Centre. A non-profit museum and performance venue in Calgary, Alberta. Amplify.nmc.ca. The Canadian Association of Music Libraries, Archives, and Documentation Centres, CAML, caml-acbm.org/en. The International Music Score Library Project, IMSLOP, also known as the Petrucci Music Library after publisher Ottaviano Petrucci, is a digital library of public domain music scores. imslp.org. Canadian Music Associations at hiphop-canada.com/music-industry-resources/Canadian-music-associations. CARAS, Canadian Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences. JunoAwards.ca. Musicounce.ca. CAPACO, Canadian Arts Presenting Association. capacoa.ca. CCMA, Canadian Country Music Association. ccma.org. The Canadian Federation of Musicians, CFM. cfmusicians.org. CIMA, Canadian Independent Music Association. cimamusic.ca. Music Publishers Canada. musicpublishing.ca. Music Managers Forum Canada, MMF Canada. mmfcanada.ca. Music Canada. Music Canada represents Canada's major record labels, Sony Music Entertainment Canada, Universal Music Canada and Warner Music Canada. musiccanada.com. SCGC, Screen Composers Guild of Canada. screencomposers.ca. Songwriters Association of Canada. songwriters.ca.